Welcome to another episode of This Witch is Viral, episode number 9. Thank you and welcome back. I hope you've been enjoying them so far. Today I have a very special guest, a reoccurring guest, my dear friend, mentor, psychic medium, energy practitioner, owner of Pure Lotus Wellness Retreat, trauma-informed coach, an amazing woman, Carrie-Leigh Stockwell. Welcome. Sorry, that sounded kind of stripper-like.
It's okay.
Welcome to the
You know what? My voice is a little bit lower today. It might sound a little bit more sexy than normally.
It actually does. I saw you the other day and she was just sexing it right up at Pure Lotus. Perfect. That sounds good. Yeah, with that sexy voice. Yeah, I don't know. We were just chatting about that because I started this recording and then I had to stop it because all of a sudden my throat chakra was just like, and I thought I was literally gonna, like, I don't know, spit out phlegm like on Carrie's face practically. Thank God we have
That's absolutely disgusting, Nina.
I know, you're welcome. See, this is what happens. You come on here on this show and I act like completely 100% authentic. Not that I'm not acting authentic otherwise, but we're fellow Cancers. We have that like dark humor. We have that goofiness about us, or at least I do. And I don't know what the hell is going on, but especially since yesterday morning, yesterday was the eclipse. I'm sure you've all heard of it. I'm sure you've all seen the beautiful, sexy glasses. I can't see you at all, which is good because that means these actually worked yesterday for me. The eclipse, April 8th, was yesterday. And ever since yesterday morning, I have been so goofy and ridiculous. I'm pretty sure my animals want to move out. Like so I don't know if it's the energy shift. I don't know if everyone's kind of felt the energy shift leading up to the eclipse. It was very intense, chaotic energy. And it's not to say that there's still not that out there. But yeah, I've been like feeling a lot lighter. How about yourself? And tell me about your eclipse experience, because I know you so enjoyed it.
Yeah, so I did not watch it.
At all? Okay, you didn't watch it at all. All you had
So
to do
I did
look up with glasses.
We did have the glasses. I found the energy very intense. To be honest with you, Jesus Christ, Nina.
I know. See, I'm in a mood. Carry on.
I wasn't I didn't have absolutely any kind of interest in it whatsoever. I don't know why. I found the energy leading up to it very, very much intense. But I'm also like an introvert, so I know that you had asked me if I wanted to go and be with the masses to watch it, and
no, not with the masses. I thought Witches by the Water. Witches by the Water.
Oh, okay.
I thought that had a ring to it, and we could like circle around with our cauldron or some shit. I'm just kidding. We don't do that. But no, I hate.
But you have to understand that I'm not the one to, like, when all of the celestial like meteor showers and all that kind of stuff are happening, I'm like, I just go to bed. So I probably feel like maybe in another lifetime I probably witnessed all this kind of stuff, and I'm just kind of over it. But saying that, the energy of this eclipse was extremely important. This was a very transformative energy, and it's really the beginning of a new us, a new age. It was in the sign of Aries, which was the god of war. So it's extremely intense. So even though I didn't necessarily watch it, I did peek out at one point in time. We were inside when, Nina, I was saying that it didn't go completely pitch dark here. It looked like a very, very dark storm was coming over. And to be honest with you, I went out afterwards. Once the sun was 100%, I went out and I basked in that energy, and about the new energy, about bringing back in the sunlight. So there's actually many cultures out there, including Vedic astrologers. So Vedic astrology is actually different than what we see in the Western astrology. Rather than having 12 or 13 astrology signs, they actually have over 100.
Wow.
And they actually see solar eclipses as actually very negative energy.
Oh, and
and to actually not um, use it at all for anything. So, like if you were trying to manifest, it would actually be the darkness taking over. So it's all about, for them, it's about celebrating the darkness. And because I have more of like a Vedic Ayurvedic background, I feel like at the same time that's kind of why I wasn't very interested in it. My head was buzzy all down, yesterday. The energy was working anyways. I didn't need to witness it. The energy's all around
yeah,
us.
yep.
My crown, my face was very buzzy and tingly all day long. So, going into the third eye. So the energy was still doing its thing. And I didn't necessarily have to partake in it. So, but there were so many people that were, and I know it was for some people kind of like a once in a lifetime chance, and I'm so glad that they had fun, and but it wasn't my thing, and those types of things really never are. So
And I think that's totally okay that it wasn't your thing. I think it's interesting because I find sometimes that, and I noticed this yesterday. So I didn't go far for the eclipse. I did, obviously, I got my glasses, so I didn't burn out
yeah,
my retinas. But I just went nearby to a friend's place, and he has a big deck and big sky and everything. And so we watched it from there. I didn't feel the need, if we had decided together to go to the water, that would have been kind of cool. But it was insane. Like, we are in the Ottawa area, Carrie and I, and the traffic on the 416 was backed up for hours,
yeah.
hours and hours and hours. All these people, like, I think there was something about what, 1 million people in around
Yeah,
was
well, and then I even heard too that like we live in a smaller town outside of Ottawa, that's right on the stretch of highway to get back to Ottawa, and I heard that the restaurants in town last night were absolutely insane because people were getting off the roads, right, and be like, okay, well,
yeah,
we'll just go for dinner and we'll wait it out, but then everybody had the exact same
yeah,
thought. So
yeah.
yeah,
So I think for myself, it's just uh, it's not worth it for myself to go through all of that. It's crazy to me that so many people do, and hey, I applaud you if that's what you want to do, but
yeah.
yeah, it just wasn't my thing. So I went about 10 minutes away and just spent it with a couple of friends on a deck, had a couple of drinks, nothing crazy, and had a good time. But I definitely watched it in totality,
Yeah.
although it wasn't in totality here. It was just
No,
more of
I
just
think we were 98% totality, which in
yeah,
reality, I'm not gonna drive through the masses anyways to get that extra
no,
2%.
no,
So, and
no,
we could see it right from our property. And like I said, I did glance out. I think when it first started, it started the moon started to come over around 2:30 or something. So I think it was just when you kind of started to see it come over, just like that.
yep, just
Um,
that. And then
just
the
like
sun.
that.
Wait, I'll be the
Yeah.
sun. You can be the moon.
So yeah, exactly.
That's
Um,
ridiculous.
yeah. And it's really interesting too because like the moon, or sorry, the sun is the sign of Aries, right? Fiery and stuff like that. And my husband's an Aries, and then we're Cancers, so we're the moon child.
Yeah,
So it
we
was
are.
in yeah, so we had a sun and a moon in the house, and sometimes that's enough.
Yeah, that's totally understandable. I did, interestingly enough, yesterday during the eclipse, I did pull a card collectively, and I pulled Thunder Drum, which I thought was actually really relevant, from the Native Spirit Oracle card deck by Denise Lynn. And it just talks about standing up and being counted and being assertive, uh, not to be shy about sharing gifts and letting the world know about your value, which I thought was really cool, and declaring with authority, this is who I am and this is what I stand for. And it also talks about taking risks, and that now is not the time to step back, but it's the time to step up and step up for yourself. So I thought that was really interesting and really kind of relevant for sure, and what the whole thing was about. Although, as you said, the eclipse, what did you call that? The era Vedic? No.
It was
What was
Vedic astrology.
Oh, okay.
So yeah.
Look at that. I've never heard of that before. So, although maybe they do things differently. But anyways, food for thought on all of this. I hope anybody that went out to the water or anywhere else had a good time and enjoyed it. And
Well,
didn't
it
bring.
brought people together too,
Yeah,
right? Which
well,
in reality allowed people to stop and come together as a community, sometimes a mass community. And for the cities that were in the total 100% totality, when you look at it from a tourism standpoint, and even here in our little town, like how much business did it actually bring into our little town last night, right? So you can look at it from a community and energy wise and economy wise. So in reality, it was a very positive thing. But I stay on my property no matter what.
I don't blame you. So since the eclipse, because there was a lot of chaotic energy leading up to it, do you feel a shift in the energy? Being you're an energy practitioner and you obviously
Yeah,
deal with energy
yeah.
every day.
So it's definitely been building. Like the collective energy right now is quite intense. And it's been kind of like almost like a volcano wanting to erupt. Um, but I don't necessarily think that it's always in a bad way. Like I feel like it's the world needs change. Collectively, we all need change. And I just feel like that's the turning point. Do I feel like this intense energy is going to lessen? No. And every single time that I talk to spirit about communicate with spirit with in regards to this energy that's happening, we're never going to go back to the old energy. This is a new energy coming in, right? So it's never going back to normal or what we see as normal. So we're transforming, the world is transforming, and we need to, right? The world is not sustainable the way that we're living it right now. So we will see these changes and adjustments and transformations within ourselves, within our communities, within our countries, within the world. So I feel like this yesterday was a very pivotal turning point for that type of transformative energy. So
And hopefully pivotal in a good way. I know for myself, I felt a lot lighter ever since. I felt even, like I said, very goofy and lighthearted and just been having a good time the last day and a bit. Um,
yeah,
for those people, because you and I, we both work as psychic mediums, we both work as coaches, and we have clients, we do Reiki and all of that. And so any suggestions to those on how to kind of stay grounded and how to really stay centered within their energy? Because I have a lot of clients coming to me right now and they are having a rough time. So you do energy shares every month.
It's very interesting. There's a lot of people that even necessarily don't work with energy all the time that are really feeling this energy, and they're really feeling everything that is the ups and downs, and the ebbs and flow, and the intensity of it. Keeping grounded. There's not one way for everyone. So what are those tools that help keep you grounded? Whether it's meditation, it's beautiful outside today. I did not want to do this podcast inside because I feel much more grounded and centered being outside. So whether it's getting out in nature, whether it's turning off the news or whatever it may be, whatever it is that's heightening your energy and not necessarily a good way, you want to make sure that you put boundaries on that.
And so you do energy shares pretty much every month. And basically what that is just a circle of typically women that kind of come
Yeah.
to your energy share, and then we literally share our energy and what's going on with ourselves, and then we typically practice Reiki or we do a meditation. We've done journaling before, that kind of thing. The last one that I went to, you had taught us how to reset our vagus nerve.
Yes. Yeah. The vagus nerve is very, very important. And it's usually not something that people know about. So the vagus nerve, or what we consider the wandering nerve, is it helps to trigger our parasympathetic nervous system. So when I teach Reiki, we talk about that, that term comes up a lot. So it's a rest and repair state. So if we feel like we're anxious, if we feel like our energy is heightened, if we feel like we're out of sorts and we need to feel more grounded, there's many different ways that we can start to trigger our vagus nerve or reset our vagus nerve. And there's lots of videos and reading material out about that. But if you can find a way to reset your vagus nerve, you're going to find that that's a huge thing.
Okay. And also I find too, and this is something that I tell my clients a lot, is just your own self-healing. So things like, taking a moment and putting your hand on your chest and
Yep.
feeling your heartbeat, taking 3 big deep breaths. And I should talk because I preach all this stuff, and Carrie knows me very well, and I can be all over the place. So I probably need to be grounded more than like anybody.
Yeah, you're my little house fly.
My ew. Can I be like your house
We're just
plant?
buzzing all over the place and you're hard to
Oh,
catch
I see.
sometimes.
Oh, can I be a bird?
Sure.
That's not, well, I don't want to be a fly. All they do is like shit everywhere, don't they? Sounds,
Birds don't shit?
I suppose, but flies?
Okay. Well, I'm sorry I said anything.
Oh, anyways, um, okay, cool. So we talked about the eclipse, we talked about energy. Another thing I wanted to talk about is your podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about the podcast? It's on Spotify. You've released 2 episodes now.
Yeah, so I've done 3 segments. We did a prologue, and then 2 chapters. And because it's the story of my life, I'm calling them chapters and not episodes. But I'm hoping to do episode-like things, kind of like, bringing yourself on
Oh,
and talking about trauma,
I'm a
maybe.
fly. Oh,
What?
I said how I'm a fly.
Well, we can talk about how ADHD is actually a result from trauma, but
We could talk about that actually.
yeah, we could.
That's true.
So yeah, the Truth About Lies is my podcast, and it's a podcast about my story through childhood trauma, multiple childhood trauma experiences, and so the last chapter was, if you go onto my websites, it's in 2 parts because it's an hour long, so it's 2 30-minute segments, and it gets into some pretty juicy stuff. And the one thing that I'm really glad to have during this podcast is the fact that because I was so young, and adults tend to hide things from little kids, not hide things, but protect them because they don't need to know all that kind of information, is that I actually have pretty much all of the documentation from the courts and medical examinations and psychiatrist reports and all of that kind of stuff in regards to my story. So I'm actually able to read back and kind of see things from a different perspective, not only from my eyes and how I experience things, but how the adults saw things as well. So it's really interesting. Pardon me, I'm getting over a cold.
Sure.
So yeah, talk about the throat chakra, right?
Right.
Communication, speaking your
Exactly.
truth.
Totally.
And to be honest with you, when I was recording the 1 hour last chapter, and my throat was really bad,
I
and I
don't
was
know how
almost
you
like
did that. Yeah.
there was lots of pauses. um, but it was almost like, is someone trying to prevent me from doing this, or is
Right.
this just my truth finally starting to come out, and this is how it's resonating, right? So, yeah, it was. It's really good. I have so many people that have been reaching out. So like friends, not necessarily family, because this is about my family, right?
Yeah.
And but like even like a lot of strangers, and they first reach out and tell me how brave and stuff I am, and I very much appreciate that. And there has been a healing a- aspect things for me as well. I can talk about my trauma until I'm blue in the face. I feel like I've done a lot of healing. There's always still more to do. Um, I don't go into a lot of detail about the actual trauma that happened, which, unfortunately was a sexual assault as a child. I can talk about the details, no problem, but that's very uncomfortable for people, right? So I don't do that. What the podcast is about is how it impacted me, how someone's choice to do something to me impacted my life, how it impacted my family. And, as we go through on chapters, we'll go through the justice system and all of that kind of stuff. So it's not necessarily, this isn't about the abuse, this is the impact that it has on people and the healing process. So the first couple of chapters, yes, we'll be talking about the abuse and kind of that character development of everybody that has been involved in my situation. But it's really about overcoming it, healing through it, going into the darkness of it, but then also seeing the light through it. So it was always something that I wanted to write a book about, and I had a really, really, really hard time writing
Mhm.
it. And I do have to say, Nina, that being on your podcast was what inspired me to create the podcast for this.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
yeah, so it's I thank you for that.
Yeah.
And I just feel like this is a way that I can share it with a lot of people. And it's been a great experience so far. I have triggered people, but I feel like it's in a good way. And you know me, I always go when whether I'm coaching or the healing aspect, I'm going to
Mhm.
see those parts of you that you're too scared to recognize. And we're going to start working on that. So if my podcast is making things, trigger you in a way where it's like, that happened to me, I've never ever actually said anything about it, or I've never really dealt with it on many different healing aspects, then this is another reason why I'm doing it. I'm trying to draw things out of people to realize that like it's time to face it.
And I think for so many people, that is so difficult because that's truly very brave of you to really step up and be able to create this podcast and tell your truth. So for those people that are having trouble standing up and telling their truth, what kind of advice do you have for them?
I think the biggest thing that got me through everything was, do I think I can fully live my life authentically and in peace if I just went about my life ignoring what happened to me? Do I really want to live the rest of my life like that? And as we get more into my story, it's about protecting the person, protecting the little child that I was, because in aspect, my family didn't do that. So I become the adult that I needed in my life.
Yeah. And literally taking the hand of your inner child and telling them that it's okay. I didn't even know what inner child healing was until a few years ago when I went to a therapist and she said, well, why don't you try talking to your inner child? So when you talk about the inner child, can you just kind of um, talk about what that is? Because a lot of people go, what is this inner child or inner child healing? And you can also plug your workshop there if you'd like.
Yeah, well, and I do say that like I have a healing the inner child workshop. Um, it's the one workshop that I've been striving to do since the very beginning. Like that's my baby, and not in an inner child's way. Um, I feel like no matter kind of a relationship that we go through as an adult, it's triggering something from our past. Pardon me.
Okay.
And working with the inner child is really about, you want to do the basis. Take a picture of yourself at 5 or 6 years old and start talking to them, right? Because as we get older in life, we start to rationalize what's happened to us. Like, oh, my parents, they've gone through a lot of trauma themselves, and this is their best, and so on and so forth. And that's great. And it's a reason, but it's not an excuse.
Right.
And when we're younger, we don't have the ability to filter the emotions that we're feeling, right? A lot of it comes out in anger
Mm,
or retreating from ourselves. And usually those are the two biggest aspects that we have, or characteristics that we have when we've gone through something very pivotal when we're children. So through the inner child work, no matter who you do it from, it's really about discovering what you were feeling and your thoughts, and overcoming the experiences and the conditioning that we felt. It's very, very powerful for people, right? So
mhm.
we tend to forget what it feels like to be that child, to have that powerlessness that we did, because we were so dependent, obviously, on the adults that were taking care of us, who were also, traumatized or having experiences in their life. I don't even know if I answered the question properly,
No, you
but
did. No, you
you know
did.
me, I go off topic and we go on like
That's
a little bit of
all,
a
please.
rant.
Have you met me? Have you seen this podcast? Everything is off topic. Um, but no,
Mm.
that makes a lot of sense. I find it interesting too, how many adults move through this world with like no self-awareness. they kind of like just move around in a trauma state. Things like, the fawn freeze, flight.
Yeah.
There's another one, fawn freeze, flight, and fight. There's 4. And so it's really interesting. So I think that workshop, I haven't taken it personally, but I think that workshop would probably bring a lot of self-awareness as well. But you also have to realize you have to have that self-awareness to gain that self-awareness. Do you know what I mean? Because even through my 20s and early 30s, I didn't realize some of the things I did had to do with trauma, past experiences, things I hadn't unpacked in several different ways, whether that be home life, relationships, even society, because society always says, it's got to be done this way, and let's be fear-based and all this other shit. And that's where I find the eclipse was kind of interesting, because just to bring it back there, I guess, for a second, is that so many people were obsessed with it. I mean, it was cool, but also it's that whole like Christmas and Valentine's Day and social media. I don't know. Anytime people get too upset, like too many people get obsessed with stuff, it freaks me out a little bit.
Well, it'll be very interesting to see, like, it's gonna, the energy that once again, going back to it, the energy that eclipse emanated throughout the entire world, whether you witnessed it or not, and I'm very aware that even though I was in my house, I'm not going to be unaffected by it. So how many people were out there in the masses that were impacted by this energy? You start watching their lives starting to shift. Right. And that we're really into it. And they may not necessarily understand the whole energetic perspective of it. But you watch their world start to shift after this. And it's going to be quite interesting over the next couple of months to see what happens with a lot of people, communities, countries, so on and so forth. So,
yeah. So The Truth About Lies is on Spotify, and it's also on YouTube. Is that correct?
Well, it is on YouTube, but to be honest with you, it's on my website no matter what. So like if you go onto the Carrie-Leigh.ca website, it's on there. You just have to scroll down to the bottom. It is on Spotify, but I had a hell of a time trying to upload a 1-hour video because it has to go into as a video format, right? It can't go in as just an audio format. So if anybody knows how to help me with that, that'd be wonderful.
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were asking me. I don't know.
Oh, I said anyone that's listening.
Oh, okay. I'm sure we can figure that out. I'd like to know how to put this podcast on my website, so maybe we can trade.
Oh yeah, super easy. I'll help you with that.
Okay, perfect. See, and this is the great thing about how we roll. And also, just going back quickly, just saying that it's nice to hear that I inspired you to do your own podcast. That makes me really feel happy and amazing. And that's truly what this is all about, is like helping others, right? Helping other people heal, helping other people see their truth and find their truth and their passion and their purpose and all these things. And that's why I think it's awesome kind of being us and being witches and, the spiritual part of it all, because we truly we have a good group of girlfriends and we empower each other. Yep. We're not in competition. This isn't the fucking government or whatever else. It's nice. It's I'm
very honored to be part of, I guess, the sisterhood that we've created here and how we've all come together. And I feel like, not only are we supporting each other, and we're encouraging each other with our businesses, but we're doing it for the good of things too, right? We're doing it to help people. And, if I feel like I can't help someone in a certain way, there's how many of you other beautiful women that work from here in your own spaces that can help, right? So
yeah, and also to the collaborative part of it all, like the partnership of it all. Carrie and I are working on a workshop coming up that's going to be released in June, from what we know, and that's all about recovering from narcissism and narcissistic abuse, and what that looks like moving forward. The other cool thing that's coming up at Pure Lotus Wellness Retreat is the Divine Feminine Retreat is coming up on May 11th, Saturday, May 11th, I believe it is.
Yeah,
So
it always lands on the Saturday of Mother's Day weekend.
and it's always an amazing time. There's several of us practitioners. We all offer different things. If you want to plug that a little bit, and then we'll wrap it up.
It's so we're a day retreat only here at Pure Lotus, and it's our biggest retreat as far as numbers go. And the reason that I only do this once a year is because it's not about the numbers here. It's about the peacefulness. But even though we could have like 15, 20 people here for this retreat, it's still very quiet. So yeah, you come for the day. It starts at 9:30 in the morning. Natasha will be here for a yoga class, and hopefully the weather agrees with us that we have the yoga out on the front lawn. So you're already starting yourself out outside in nature.
It's
And
okay, and I promise.
yeah. And then you have 3 holistic treatments. So we're going to have certain massages here, not a lot of body work, but some. So we'll have some relaxation massage, some Indian head massage, I think some reflexology as well. And then we have all the energy healing. Catherine's going to be here doing individual sound bathing sessions.
Catherine's amazing.
I always push her back to the gazebo in the forest, right? So you're having these sound bathing sessions in the middle of a forest because it's the quietest out there. So she's always back there. Not that we don't love you, Catherine, but that's where you can emanate the most. And people who are doing readings. So Julie will be doing some numerology sessions. I believe Virginia's coming as well. I think so. Yeah, I'm pretty sure she is. You and I will be doing readings and energy work, and lunch is included, and refreshments, and then there'll be some healing exercises that you can partake in, and you don't have to partake in. It's it's a very relaxed kind of day, and it's usually always well received. So we're about 50% sold out right now, and as we get closer to Mother's Day, I'm sure it's usually always a sold out event. So
it is, and it's always an incredible event to be a part of. It's just so much fun, so much healing, and it's just the energy is just incredible. So thank you so much for coming back on my podcast.
Thank you for having me with my seductive, phlegmy voice.
Oh, baby. The spiritual sexiness.
Yeah,
there you go. Did you want to plug your socials and your website?
Yeah, sure. So my personal website for all of my independent stuff that I do is Carrie-Leigh.ca. That's also where you can find my podcast and my remote services. And then we have the one for the retreat, which is pure-lotus.ca. And that's where people can go and book with all of the fabulous practitioners, including Nina. And all of the day retreats and the semi-private day retreats and classes and workshops and all that kind of stuff.
So much, so much. Thank you, everybody, for checking out another episode of This Witch is Viral. You can find This Witch is Viral on YouTube as well as Spotify. You can also find me on Instagram under This Witch is Viral, as well as the Nina DeBoss, as well as Facebook. So if you want to, are interested in guest starring, guest hosting, I can't even talk. I'm just all over the place. Or if
it's my sexy glasses that took you over.
I know,
I just did like a Lenny Kravitz vibe.
You did, totally. I'm like, wow.
See, that's one sexy man right there.
You're so, oh shit, isn't he? Damn. See, I wouldn't be single anymore if he were to come into my life. Let's manifest. Yeah. So anyways, you're so sexy and bright. I got to put these on for the rest of the shit. There. Okay. Yeah, there. No. Anyways, what the hell was I saying? Oh yes. Okay.
We gotta go. We're saying bye.
We gotta go. Yeah. So there's my socials. Thanks for watching. My mouse doesn't work, so I'm pressing this fucking record button somewhere in here. All right. Take care. Thanks, everybody.
Good, because I gotta pee.
Oh, there you go. All right. Bye.
Bye.